15-second scoring project at the beginning of every class, the second half of the semester, and I was just using or VO, Google VO to generate 15-second videos, and a lot of students wouldn't score them, and so I had to pull down things that I had shot in 16 millimeter or video that didn't have any AI content. But that said, I firmly tell them you can create the work that you want to create in any way, shape, or form. However, AI is going to really quicken your workflow. And for the, I also teach virtual production, which is using Unreal Engine to create environments and use large LED walls for backgrounds. And for those of us as in the VFX world, AI has been around for a long time before this current craze in AI, largely to animate like the 10,000 person animation in the background in a fight scene. It hasn't been 10,000 actors on a stage. And so in a lot of ways, AI has just made its move in the VFX industry closer to the front because it can do a lot more better. And like I said, I guess my point is like, use it. It's extremely, I'm also teaching a thesis class, which is written thesis classes. Every student has GPT or Claude on their desktop. Everybody does it in a college context. It's just very much omnipresent. And I say, it's fine to use these tools. Ultimately, like whatever you author has to be defensible by you. Ultimately, you have to claim ownership over like what the product is. And I think that goes for both, filmmaking. I think it also goes for authored text and so forth. Ultimately, that sort of human core needs to be there, and you can actually defend the research you're producing the film, the creative work. So, I mean, that's my general ethos. It's a little broader. I think there's a lot of faculty, particularly in English or history, who are horrified by this, and have gone back to like having students write blue book exams by hand because the technology is just too easy to use to write an exquisite thesis paper that might be a little bit too good. Like I feel like I can tell GPT versus Gemini versus Claude at this point for the kinds of outputs and the way that it summarizes. It often tries to use parallel. But that's it. Just be very aware of the tools and also be own the work you make and have it be defensible, and also be proud of the fact that you're actually using it. That's kind of the way.
So on the other side, I teach an AI class in the same film animation is really important. And so at the beginning of the class, it's been pretty clear that they don't want to use AI anymore. Now they do a historical evolution, understanding from the perspective of art, from the perspective of philosophy, from the perspective of storytelling. And then at the end of the semester, they're unstoppable. They cannot wait. They realize how easy that's going to be changing the way the job is going to be. So we are in this dichotomy where we have one side, these students are actively every single week working with the generative tools. And at the same time, these students are really tearing down the prints that we make in the past because they do not want AI.
So, Professor Santiago, so with your background in generated AI and interactive media, like how do you see AI influencing the design of your experiences? And will audience care if content was made with AI, or will they only care if it's moves them?
So I see that as a two-part question. The first part,
Could you make it
a little closer, yes, sorry.
That's much
Is that the technical aspect stream is like a Deus Ex Machina seduction. It really is very pleasing to the eye. It's very nice. It's very innocuous. It's not going to hurt us. And then people are just going to start not really differentiating because it's going to be a soft presentation. And it's already happening. We already have commercials, videos, movies implementing AI tools, AI. But on the second half, I'm seeing it on a level. We're using a tool called Suno. And if you haven't heard of it, it's Suno.ai. Suno is, and as for somebody, I mean, I'm here with somebody who's an expert in sound and media, and electronic sound and electronic recording. Suno is already capable of producing songs that are extremely moving. You can either generate the lyrics, or you can input your own lyrics, and it creates a entire 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute song. And we all know we are affected by the non-material elements of the song. And so that I think is going to be affecting the perception. We're going to be seeing AI from the emotion. And so what I do believe is going to happen is that this is going to lead to first impact is going to be on the sound level. And we already have songs on the top 100 list that have been composed only using AI with complete AI voices. They're not human singing, but they sound like human. But the second part is going to be the way we're going to be consuming that. It's either we're going to be accepting it, or we're going to be and then realizing that that is fake, or we're going to be so seduced by these master actor or actress that we're going to become like the movie Her. We're going to be already falling with these incredible voice that knows everything about me, that knows every single email I've done, and knows more about myself than myself. So I do believe that that point from that consumption is going to be affected by these conscious choice as a human being of saying, am I going to play the game? It's like me watching the ending of Breakfast at Tiffany's. I cried immediately. I cannot watch it. That's it. Or they had to take me out when I was watching Charlotte's Web, and I cannot still see the movie. I cry every single time because I know it's fake, but it's affecting me directly. Or I'm going to be saying, okay, let me take a step back and I'm seeing it just like a video game, or I'm seeing it like something that I can maintain a distance from it. But a lot of us may not be able to even tell the distance. Who knows yet?
Thank you, Santi. So this question is for everybody, any of you can answer. And also, we can have a few minutes to take a question if you have any. Okay?
I do. Right after what you just talked about.
Here, let me give you a mic. So
Oh, yeah.
I can run the mic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is actually a direct follow-up to that. So when you're talking about the push and the popularity of AI, let's call it AI music, right? And you get emotionally moved. What I'm wondering is if there's going to be an even more importance on live performances, right? Because now it's even more imperative that you connect with humans face to face on that level, even if it's a song that AI created, a real band performs it, and then that kind of takes its own life form. Do you have any thoughts to that?
Of Hakuin Mitsu. She's a Japanese performer that is actually an anime character. Sorry. So Hakuna Mitsu is a completely virtual character, anime character that's actually being projected on a glass. And people go to the concerts and people go absolutely crazy. It's been going on for more than 10 years. Her voice is generated because they sampled the human voice of a Japanese actress, and then she really can sing and you can hear it as if it were musical notes. So it is already happening, and people are already playing the game. And on the other side, if you know the band Gorillaz, they've never shown their faces. They're all where they know the right, because when they perform, they have these giant 3D models and they're really capturing the motion. And so what you see on stage is nothing but a virtual representation of the real actors. And so at the end, it's like in the Sound of Music. Is it real or is it fake? At the end, what matters is what we feel in front of it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to add to that. I'm not quite sure about the importance of live performances.
Oh,
And I think that just goes back to just how the industry is. The industry has changed. It's now about streaming numbers and how much you're getting paid per stream. And then you find that a lot of these performers now are making their money off of just merchandise. So I think when it comes down, what people really want, when you have that, I know somebody just signed like $1 million contract with a record label that was all totally AI. Now, did they actually care about it? No, they didn't. It was about, is it going to bring exchange? Is it going to make the label money? So I don't really think that you're going to have live performances. I think it really comes back to the artist and what is the emotion that the artist is trying to convey.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the strengths of AI, whether it's in music or whether it's in film, it does enable those people that do not have the tools, the budget, in some instances, maybe not even the total talent to bring their vision to life. I feel like that's probably me. You know, I've done photography, I've done a little bit of videography, but I've always had a vision. Where the differentiator came is I actually had to learn about, read about lighting, film types, camera angles, narration, all of that stuff. And then had to figure out which tools I used about 10 different tools just to make, one scene.
Yeah.
With my AI.
Okay.
So I understand industry and businessmen cares money, so it's good content made by human or AI, it doesn't matter, it makes a lot of money, I get it, but what about creators? They use, the AI use creators' voices, creators' images, privacy or ethics or the things, right? Copyright issues. You're also creators, so are you, are you okay with that?
I don't really, I think I look at it from both sides. I can understand how a lot of people feel as if, they're using, I think it happens in any industry, whether it's AI or whether it's people cry about mobile banking, because they felt that, bankers are gonna go away. We've adopted that. People used to cry about, HDR photography is not pure photography. I was one of those people that, oh, you're not a pure photographer. And I'm like, well, every phone we have now shoots in HDR. So I think it's just a progression. I think that, as they so eloquently said, use it as a tool to help you along the way. It is painfully obvious. You can tell people that have no knowledge of film or narration, any of that totally rely on AI to make something. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen things, oh, that's definitely AI. That's terrible. That's and it's because they're relying totally on the tool, not applying any type of skill set to it.
Which is very interesting because we have one of our former students over there. When we're teaching traditional cinematography, lenses and editing and all that, when you're gonna be working on an AI, if you know about composition, if you know about type of film, so Fuji or Kodak, if you know about what type of lenses you want, you can actually implement that and you can control the motion, you can control the view, you can control the composition, the color correction, everything is happening in there. So the more you know about film, the more you know about narrative storytelling, the better the result you're going to be.
I actually had a lunch with a friend of mine who's a poet, who's now retired from the University of Tampa last week, and he got an email from some class action against Anthropic because they had scraped his poetry. And I think that this is something that we all know kind of has happened. If we go back though, at the beginnings of Google, I remember before their initial public offering in the late 90s, one of the things that they had suggested they were going to do up front was to scan the library at Stanford, at Harvard, at Michigan, and Oxford or something. I forget what. And in many ways, the idea of scanning these gigantic libraries was the beginning of the statistical database for large language models in the first place. And in many respects, it's only computationally speeding up that whole process, right? Let's say I'm an artist who only reads the poetry of modern European poets, or I only look at the woodcuts of Hiroshige and Japanese woodcuts. I think a human would interpret those things. What's happening with these large language models, they can just compress all of the stylistic traits of those things into very, very quick computational things. Where you can say, oh, I want a print that looks like Hiroshige. It'll come out looking like Hiroshige. It's amazing, incredible. Humans do it. It's just the computers are doing it a lot more quickly, and humans are doing it with their own subjectivity by saying, oh, I'm going to look at these three artists. If you look at how you get to Picasso's paintings from all of this influences, art historians talk about this. I think it's allowing artists to be able to rapidly sample over the history of human creation and do whatever they want. It's an incredible power, but it's true. There's in that way, because all that data that's been scraped and permutated over or used to train those models. So.
Okay, so my last questions, all of you. Within 20 or 30 seconds, you can answer. So looking ahead 5 to 10 years, how do you predict will be the biggest shift in the way audiences engage with AI enhanced media for interactive AI storytelling?
I believe firmly in psychic powers, and I believe also in science fiction. And then this combination, what I see is Netflix is going to become completely personalized. I love movies. I'm obsessed with Father Brown and Greyhounds. And I'm obsessed. I'm been watching every single season. But imagine when it finally learns from me and starts creating my own episode. That one specific episode that is strictly created for my history, my personality, and my taste. I want to see doggies. I want to see cats. I want to see fun. I want to see acrobats. Everything. It's going to be able to generate movies that are going to be pleasing instead of make completely just sampling what's for my taste. Just make it based on my own history.
Yeah, it's true. It could be very personalized, right? Everybody has their own genre that suits them. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
How many genres will help?
You know, I think personally, I'm working on something that's it's more of a text-based AI product, but, it hybridizes a lot of these models, but, you know, in looking at this piece of software, you always look 5 to 10 years out thinking like, okay, the AI buzz is gonna drop down, it's gonna become another tool. What comes of this? I think we're all gonna be a lot quicker at whatever we wanna do. And so I think the next level is, okay, if you could be that efficient at running a film festival or writing a novel while still holding agency and using stories from your own life, I think that makes you wonder about not only leisure time, but like what is our larger civil responsibility with these really powerful tools? I mean, I think that's a bigger question that's beyond art and beyond representation spectrum.
Thanks, Rob.
I think it's gonna be widely accepted. And it's already happening. Right now, instead of having to create the characters and animate it, you're starting to see something that, they did in Avatar. In the past, every character that I created, I had to animate. Now I've moved up to the level of saying, you know what, I would actually like to get a live actor and just lay my character over top of them so I can get a natural movement. And I think what that's going to do is for a lot of the actors that are screaming foul with AI, it's going to give those people an opportunity, to be listed in the credits as one of the actors, similar to like what Avatars have. When I started writing a short horror film called Little, I was, trying to figure out how in the world am I going to animate a lot of these scenes. I'm thinking, oh wow, I'm just going to get my son, I'm going to film him, overlay the character, I'm going to get my wife or a lot of the actors I've met to walk, I'm going to film them, I'm going to overlay my character. So I think, it's going to come like Love, Death, and Robots. Okay?
Yes.
Anybody ever seen that?
Yes.
We're just moving to an area we can just have animation and live animation more quickly.
Thank you so much for, let's give a big applause to the panelists. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of the show.